Men of Reddit, what is the best relationship advice can you give us women? Say what you mean. Don't dance around an issue. Don't make it a game. Be direct and just come out with it, in a non-sholish way. You could save yourself a lot of time, potential pain, or the escalation of an argument that wasn't even on the table. That's for both sexes. Woman. I'm cold. Man, thinking to self. Okay. Woman, an hour later. Upset. Why didn't you get me a blanket or turn up the heat? Man. Because you didn't ask me to. With my wife and I, it's gotten to the point where when she does something like this, I'll straight up say, thank you for the information. Is there something you'd like me to do with this information? Double quote. Sometimes she really is just giving me information or wants to talk. Sometimes she expects me to do something with that information. But until she clarifies, I have no idea. We don't have to talk to consider it quality time. My wife and I have this on lockdown. We drove 3 hours to go pick the kid up from her mom's. We talk out our plans before getting on the interstate, which is 7 minutes down the road. Once we get on the interstate, it's silence between us. Drive an hour and I'd say I need coffee and a piss. You hungry or anything? She might say yes, and then wherever she wants to eat we will go to, but usually it's whatever is closer. If she says no, then Waffle House it is. Any other words is just me bitching about drivers. I kinda knew the silence didn't bother her, but I got the definitive answer when her mom, the kid, and my wife came back from a little hike. She came through the door looking unset before the other two. I was watching sports and just said, how was the hike? She blurts out, it'd be great if I didn't go with two people that didn't stop talking. Double quote. Holding your relationship hostage in every argument means you're a shitty person with no real argument. Oh yay? Then why are we even together? Double quote. If I'm so shitty then just leave me. Double quote. I guess you don't care about our relationship then. Double quote. My husband used to say things like that at the very beginning of the relationship. I brought it up not during a dispute and found out it's because he thought I was out of his league and genuinely expected me to leave and didn't want to be blindsided. I told him to knock it off. I wasn't going anywhere. And 5 years later, we're married and have a baby on the way. We're insanely happy. Never really get in tiffs. And I can honestly say we are each other's other half. But it didn't change how annoying it was to hear, then why don't you just leave me? Double quote. Some of that can come from insecurities, but if it's constant it's more manipulative than anything. If you're so saying shitty like this, talk about it. There might be more to it. But there might not. Little compliments are really awesome. Also, talk about what you want and don't want. Please, this goes for men and women. Good communication makes things so much easier. If you hit or berate your boyfriend's spouse, that's abusive. It doesn't matter what gender the abuser is. And even if it doesn't hurt physically, it can really hurt mentally and emotionally. Yeah. I've been hit by a girlfriend years ago. It hurt pretty bad, and when I called it out, it was girls can't hit guys. I was young, naive, and had low enough self-esteem that her attention was more valuable than my own self-respect. It's a good thing that relationship lasted 4 months. She was all kinds of awful. We can't read minds. Never think we should know what you want or are thinking. Yeah. Nah. Sure, you can't read minds, but sometimes you miss the obvious. Like the woman comes home from a work shift. There's a mess. The bin needs to be taken out. It would be nice if the meal had been started. These are things that are so obvious. Having to constantly ask is annoying. Like the guys who will do something when you ask but won't take the initiative themselves. The examples I give are actually from my adult daughter when she was living with me. But you get the idea. Don't take relationship advice from Reddit. Don't take any advice from Reddit. Based on this little comment and the zero context I have about your life, my advice: break up with your significant other. They are clearly selfish and abusive, and you don't deserve to be treated that way. People change for their own reasons. Don't get into a relationship with someone hoping he will change. Unless he wants to. It won't happen. Remember that love is a choice, not a feeling. Someone who loves you is going to treat you in such a way that you feel loved. If you don't feel it, and he has no interest in doing things to make you feel loved, he doesn't love you. He might have the hots for you. Sure. That's not love. After 5 years of marriage, my wife asked me when I was going to quit smoking. I asked her if she remembered our wedding day. Just before we walked down the aisle if there was anything about me she wanted me to change. And she said, "No dear. I love you just the way you are." And then she looked at me and said, "That's when I thought I could change you." When you are with your so put the F at %ing phone down. Nothing gets to me more than having a set time to be together and her constantly checking TXTs, FB, Instagram. When I am with my phone is on silent and stays in my pocket so I can be focused and engaged with her. This should be the case with friends too. We've all seen groups of friends out and all of them are on their phones. What the FCK are you doing out with friends if you're going to ignore them? Especially true with your so. With my last GF I would spoon her and do the occasional boob grab of course. Every once in a while she would big spoon me and squeeze my man boob. It was funny, cute, and strangely made me feel loved. Probably my top advice for anyone in a relationship. Do not play relationship games. Just say what you want. Don't make the other person guess. Don't make them try to win you over. Don't play the silent game where they have to guess what they did wrong or guess how to fix things. And don't loyalty test them or whatever crap. If trust is lacking, tests won't fix them. Communication and trust will. If that doesn't work, tests certainly won't. Just say what you want. If the other person genuinely doesn't know and is trying, that's okay. Don't make it unnecessarily hard on them. Try to make it clear up front if you want him to find what's wrong with your outfit or just give compliments when you ask how an outfit looks. The assumption is you just want a compliment, but if you actually want a second set of eyes in case you missed something, we need to know that. I'ma say that most women probably don't care if you wanna chill, play games or hang out with your buddies occasionally. In fact, most women probably expect you to have some shit of your own to do. But there are dudes that it's all they do is play video games and be with their friends. For some people it gets to the point of addiction. I know, cause I used to be like that. I stopped playing a few games because I become too addicted to it and it consumed all my free time. It's all I will want to do. Those who can game for a set amount of time and stop should be able to manage time well enough to game and keep your girl happy. Disclaimer. This does not apply for dads. You gave up your gaming rights the sec your pull-out game became weak. If you want to be with someone else, dump your partner. Don't pull that bullshit where you play the field while having a partner who you're keeping on the back burner if things don't work with your new crush. And sure as hell don't string your partner along waiting for the perfect moment to break up with them while you're fking around with someone new. The best time to break up with your partner when you don't want to be with them, especially if you want to be with someone new, is immediately. Rip off the band-aid and get it over with. Maybe they'll be mad or upset, but they're gonna find out if you lie to them about just wanting to be single for a while when you're putting up pics with you and new boo a couple weeks later on social media, and that fking hurts way more than if you just be honest in the first place. If you want to be with your current partner, don't be fking around with MR. He's just a friend because you're not as slick as you think, and that's emotional cheating. Longevity in a relationship is about compromises both ways. If the other one is the only one who always has to bend backwards but you never do, you are not doing it right. If you go into a relationship with a list of things he does wrong but you want to fix in him, neither of you will be happy. People can make small, incremental adjustments and concessions, but most people don't make sweeping changes to their personality and habits for the sake of another person. You have every right to break up with a guy who makes you unhappy. He has every right to break up because living with a constant reminder of what he isn't doing right is miserable. Both of these things can be concurrently true about people who are in a relationship together. If we say something seemingly offensive out of nowhere, ask what we mean instead of assuming the absolute f-king worst thing that could be interpreted. Good answer. I feel this. Some people are too quick to extrapolate meaning out of something you're saying. While you are saying it, let me fucking finish talking, and if my words come out stupid, ask me to clarify after I'm done talking. Verbal communication can be very sloppy from time to time. Men rarely change. Be happy with your purchase before you buy instead of seeing potential in him you may never realize. Reminds me of women marry men thinking they'll change but they don't. Men marry women thinking they won't change but they do. The ultimate dilemma. Don't treat your partner differently in front of other people than you do in private. Learning to recognize when you're being a BTCH will go a long way. Don't FCK other people. Learning to recognize when you're being a BTCH will go a long way. I have learned to recognize this, and every time I stop myself before saying something unnecessary and hurtful, I realize how being petty and bitchy would not only put a damper on my relationship, but also on my mood. I am so much happier when I can let go and not BTCH about irrelevant stuff. I'm sure my husband is also happier for it. We enjoy a comfortable silence. Not every moment need be filled with meaningless talk. That may not be a general thing, as silences can be awkward for some. Speaking for myself though, two people can enjoy one another's company in silence. Also, don't neglect the balls. Always remember that he is an individual, and not just an entity of class man. Confuse program and noises. Joke aside, I agree wholeheartedly. Everyone is different. And generalization is so stupid no matter what it is about. Everyone has different views, morals, motives, needs and aspirations. And people should be aware of that. Especially in a committed relationship. Why do people love dogs? Seriously. Why? They don't do much. They don't work. They don't do our taxes. They poop and don't even clean up after themselves. The only thing dogs do is provide affection. That's the answer. The secret to winning affection is to give it. All men want. All people want is to be wanted. Do what dogs do and be excited. Be happy to be near us. And we will race around the earth to steal you the sun. The best advice I can give is don't be friends with an ex or someone you rejected. You're absolutely not doing them a favor, you're not letting them down easy. You're dangling a dream in front of someone who will never get it. Cut contact and leave. You're turning a broken heart into a festering one. Also, if someone is threatening self-harm, which I hear a lot of girls experience, if you cut contact, tell someone. Your friends. Your parents. Their parents. Authorities. Anyone. This is a very disgusting way of manipulation and it can really mess you up. Talk about it and get help. I like Bill Burr's advice. The best moment he had was when his GF made him a sandwich and gave him a beer. Said nothing. And walked away. My wife came upstairs. Handed me a cold beer. Gave me a kiss. And walked back down. It was the best. After I finished it I immediately went down and spent a good 2 hours watching Housewives with her lol. I do this all the time. It's my favorite thing to do. If I'm baking cookies, I'll plate a couple of fresh ones just from the oven. Pour a cup of coffee and just go put it on his desk while he's playing computer games. I don't say anything. Or I'll peek in to see if he has a drink. If not, I'll pour him a drink and take it in. I just like taking care of him. But he does similar things for me too. If you start seeing someone, and they start contacting you way too much and want to see you every single day right off the bat, just move on. They probably have codependency issues. Had a friend who did this. And every time he would throw himself totally into the relationship, it would last a month. And then it was like the world have ended until he met someone else a week later and did the same shit. I stopped hanging out with him. If you like a guy, not even head over heels, just if you appreciate being around them, just tell them. We don't ever really get compliments like this. So we often hold on to the ones we get for months. Even years. Tell your friends you love them and care about them. It might mean nothing to you, but it means the world to us. Be the one who engages intimately once in a while. What I'd give to have a girlfriend reach out and touch me without me doing anything prior means a lot to a guy. I'm a woman, but if you have an issue with him, just fucking tell him. Stop dancing around and expecting him to know. He probably doesn't even know he pissed you off. He's not a mind reader. The sooner you actually speak up, then the sooner the issue is resolved. I see this in relationships around me all the time, and communication is such a basic, trivial aspect that so few people seem to make an attempt at. Also, like, be a bro and hug him. Guys tend to be starved of physical intimacy, P. It seems fairly common for women, men also guilty, of trying to worm their way into a guy's life as a strategy to move things forward. Most guys seem to strongly dislike this. It can be very manipulative and can seem to indicate we'll lose a lot of freedom if we move forward. See also, being very entitled to his time. Especially if you just want us to be present while you watch TV. Bonus negative points for being on your phone while you want us around. Close bracket. The more you can keep yourself content without our effort and time, the more attractive the relationship is. Most character traits that a guy has aren't going away. People change throughout the course of a relationship, but fundamentally core behaviors and beliefs won't budge. If you see a habit or trend you have to put up with that bothers you, ask yourself if you can put up with it forever. Relationships will have sacrifices, but don't assume you're willing to sacrifice your happiness forever to tolerate something. And don't assume they'll sacrifice theirs for you. Many men don't get the attention from women that women get from men. We're expected to give flowers, arrange a date, initiate romantic evenings, etc. Maybe not the flowers, but how about taking him out to dinner? Or a surprise date doing something he likes? Plan a romantic evening that centers on him instead of you. In other words, let us know you like us with more than just words. Kindness and good personal hygiene go a long way toward making a relationship work. Also, men are tested enough in their lives by family, employers, schools, other guys, and society in general. Don't add to this by conducting tests of your own. There's nothing worse than coming home to a test after a long day at work. Please don't volunteer us to do something for someone else before asking. Oh, I'm so bad about this. Your car's messed up. My husband might be able to help. Lem, ask him. Oh, sweet elderly neighbor whose husband passed away last week. Your lawn doesn't look awful. You think it does? You have no clue how you'll get it mowed. Since you obviously can't do it yourself, let me get my husband. Literally have done both of these in the past month. To be fair, my husband does love working on vehicles and mowing lawns, and gets really bored really easily. I never really stopped to think that this might be annoying for him, and he has never said anything to me. I'm always bending over backwards for other people and have a helper's heart, and he does too. But I can see where it probably drives him insane. Thank you for pointing this out. I will be better. Be friends. Like, besides the bedroom and looks and finances and help, both men and women can live with someone who is not a friend for reasons outlined above and other. But that'll end and you'll hate each other if you don't manage to become friends. Just talk to us. Be there for us. Except that when we're thinking about nothing, sometimes we really are thinking about nothing. We like cuddles, back head scratches and massages too. Be direct. Make yourself feel sexy, loved, and wanted. If you consistently reject his advances or never make any of your own, it can seriously harm his self-confidence. I'm not saying to always have sex every time he wants, but make an effort to accept his advances some of the time. Don't schedule sex either. It will feel like pity sex as well. Men get almost no positive attention outside of their so please give it to them. They deserve it. Give them compliments and constantly flirt with them. They will absolutely love you for it. If you're a woman who's interested in a guy and you know he's single, don't be afraid to ask him out. Men worth your time respect the hell out of women who work up the nerve to ask them out. They won't ever be offended or disgusted with you. They might even find you more attractive if you make the first move. If asked a straight question, give a straight answer. Are you hungry? Why and do you want to get dinner? Why and what would you like to eat? If you don't know, ask what are my options? Instead of I don't know. If you tell him you pick, don't complain about his choice. Guys, the same goes for you. If you give the decision, you have waived your vote. Try not to pick places they hate cause you like them. Bonus points if you choose a place they love and you do not. Best bet is pick a place you both like. We are thick so we don't understand your obvious signals one bit. When I first got with my boyfriend, he wanted to leave after chatting for a few hours while at my house. I asked him to stay a little longer and showed him my bedroom. He tried to have a conversation about my PC while in there. Only after I took off my pants did he get the message. Good communication and independence bring something to the table. We should push each other to be better versions of ourselves together. If not, we aren't right for each other. 9 out of 10 times when you ask what are you thinking about? And we answer something akin to how much I love you. What we really mean is we were thinking of something so random that it makes more sense to just say that instead of explaining for an hour about why Aquaman ability to control whales shouldn't work or possibilities as to why hearing your favorite song play on the radio is much more satisfying to listening directly from your iPod. We aren't thinking about your friend Jennifer. We aren't thinking about the weight you gained. We are literally just thinking about random bits of info that pop into our head that makes us question reality, and we want to spare you from an explanation that could take the better part of the afternoon. Honestly, help us get in touch with our emotions. Many of us are not emotionally literate, and a lot of it has to do with how society wants us to be. Reassure us that we are not weak for showing emotion, or even for crying. Be there, willing to listen, and establish that communication. It's invaluable. I appreciate the sentiment that men should get in touch with their emotions more. But it doesn't seem like Enzo's job to make their partners emotionally literate. This can be a slippery slope if someone hasn't done work on themselves. Women aren't automatically therapists. Only say you're fine if you actually are. If you have an issue, then say so and we can talk about it. Don't just say you're fine and expect my Neanderthal brain to figure out what you mean. I'm busy thinking about food and boobs. This goes for everyone. Get past the idea of a relationship and understand the reality of it. We are inundated with the idea of a relationship. From books, television, even other people. I have news for you. That perfect couple, where everything seems to be going right, they aren't telling you about all the problems. We go into relationships thinking about all of the ideal partnerships and are disappointed when the reality of our relationships do not measure up. The idea is a fantasy. It doesn't exist. The sooner that people understand that, the more they can objectively measure whether they are happy in the relationship they are in, because they begin to temper their expectations against the real instead of the fantasy. Men communicate differently than women. We talk less and do more, on average 2,000 words a day less. For men, talking is a way to convey information and instructions, and not much else. If you tell us your boss is an asshole, we'll interpret that as an order to punch his teeth out, because that's how we're wired. If you've ever caught your man not listening halfway through your conversation about how your day went, it's not that he doesn't care, but it's because he's sifting through your words to find the instructions. This is also why hints, nudges, looks, cues and other forms of unspoken communication can easily fly over our heads. We are clueless to what to you may seem obvious. So understand that we can be easily confused, and that confusion can lead to frustration on both ends. It may seem absurd and tedious, but being in a relationship implies developing your own unique shared language. If you think that having a set of commonly used words is enough, you're very wrong. Don't know if this has been said already, but most of us aren't used to being emotionally available. so we may not open up. And when we do, it may all flood out. So if you do want your man to be emotionally open, try to make it so that it's a manageable controlled flow rather than opening the floodgates all the way. Sorry for the weird analogy. If there is a big issue you're having arguments about with your partner, it sometimes helps to give it a rest and come back to it later. I guarantee that in that time both will continue to think and come to terms with what's been said so that upon restarting it'll go much better. It's just not nice to constantly clash over the same thing non-stop. And just because it's not actively talked about doesn't mean we don't know it's there. There is no need to constantly bring it up and bash it in. Whatever is on your mind and is eating away at you, please state it. If you don't and let it eat away at you and you bring it up during an argument later on down the line, you may end up getting shouted at and quite possibly exacerbate the matter. As well as that, you achieve absolutely nothing by staying silent. We're secretly sad chivalry is dying and actually enjoy paying for dinner. No. You don't owe us anything afterwards. If you enjoyed it, be honest and tell us. If not, be honest and tell us. If we were raised well and were properly socialized, we can handle rejection gracefully. If you find that you are having similar problems in relationship after relationship, there is only one common denominator. Your choice of who to engage in a relationship with. Meaning that all these problems are primarily a you problem. Until you look in a mirror and fix that problem, all the other ones will keep cropping up. Pretend we're idiots. Like, pretend we're 5 years old and don't understand complex thought. I'm not saying we don't, but just pretend we don't. Instead of, I'm cold. Try, babe, can you grab me that sweater blanket I like? In that example, we like to feel wanted and providing. If a guy opens up to you about something, never ridicule or mock his feelings. He probably has very few people he can be vulnerable with. And getting that rejection from a romantic partner is a huge blow. He's showing you he trusts you. He's showing you his humanity. Listen. Hold him. Empathize. Understand that you also have to earn our trust. In all of my relationships there's so much emphasis on the guy earning trust from the girl, which is completely valid. But there's little understanding that it goes both ways. I also have had bad experiences that close me off. And you shouldn't take it personally. Sex is not a currency. We both like it and both want it. Unless it's a favor or treat, like fantasy fulfillment etc. It should always and only be a mutual thing. And it should never be used as a weapon to get your way. We don't talk constantly. It doesn't mean we're mad or not happy. We don't pick up on hints or signals. We don't like you trying to fix us. Don't compare us to some imaginary perfect man you want us to be. We are who we are. Appreciate us for that. We hate it if when you nag us. We want to see you happy. Probably more than we want to be happy. So smile and laugh. It will make our day. Don't speak on our behalf. It emasculates us. Compliment us occasionally. Guys rarely receive compliments. So it's incredibly special to us. Blowjobs. Do it. Don't ever make a man feel replaceable. And never give them ultimatums. Many of my brothers have gladly taken the threat just to spite them. I'll break up with you if you don't yada yada. One time a bro said his lady threatened to leave him and he started packing her shit. I heard the screaming down the block, dude. Men also appreciate little displays of affection. Like flowers. Or a coffee. Or something simple like that. Close bracket. More sarcastically. Say when you want something from the takeout. I hate when people eat my food XD. I used to work as a courtroom interpreter for couples getting divorced. This advice goes for everyone. Reflect on what allows you to communicate clearly and in ways that don't leave you and or your partner exhausted. Don't assume things about your partner if you've never asked for clarification. If they've given no signs that point to what you think, you might be wrong. And even if they do, what you consider a sign might be something that stems from routine and given little to no thought. Not them trying to send a message. Don't give detailed accounts about your sex life to your friends. I don't associate with any men that do this. But I, personally, know loads of women that do. It's gross and feels like a violation of privacy and the intimacy that you two have shared together, leaving one to feel disrespected and inexperienced. You'll be amazed at how many relationships fall apart over expectations never properly communicated. I can wax poetic on the topic further, but I think these are key points that I noticed being issues when working. Lots of women talk about how much they like affection. Newsflash. Men don't just like giving affection. They also like receiving it. If you notice that your man is going in for most of the hugs, then try doing a few yourself. Another thing. Women are used to getting compliments. For a woman, a compliment won't mean much, because usually, they get a lot. However, for a man, a compliment won't go in one ear out the other. For example, 5 or 6 years ago, I got a compliment from a woman on my haircut. That haircut is still on my head today. That's how powerful a compliment can be to a dude. A good word of thumb is that if you like something, excluding penetration, he probably does too. This is not strictly a man or woman thing, but if I yawn and you stick your fingers in my mouth and giggle, I swear to the flying spaghetti monster, next time those fingers are coming off. That shit ain't funny. Quit it. If you find a guy that you want to go out with, ask him out. First off, the guy may not know you like him, so asking will help him see you as a potential partner. And also asking is brave and we also take notice. Don't wait because it may never happen unless you speak up. If he says no, then move on and ask another. It gets easier, I promise. Stop using the intimate things we tell you against us later. Also, stop sharing our sex life with all your f-king friends. Absolutely not okay. No way in hell you'd be okay with that level of sharing with friends if we were to do it. 1. Trust your gut. It's smarter than you think. If something tells you a guy is a tool or is cheating, well. 2. Do things on your own timetable. Especially marriage children. Write your own story instead of keeping up with friends or family. 3. Marriage children will not fix a relationship which has gone stale or isn't working. 4. You are never going to change him. Chances are he's happy the way he is. 5. Do not think you have to stay in an unfulfilling relationship. There is something better out there. As an older, twice married guy, I've been through it and have listened to numerous of long-time chick friends who've been through it. 2. My buddy's wife has this thing where, if she asks him to do something but he doesn't catch it the first time, doesn't acknowledge it right away, like if he's distracted by something else, she'll play this "what did I ask you to do?" game. Like she's judging him for not paying attention the first time. All it does is waste time for both of them. So please, don't do this. I was cringing because I was standing right there. On that note, also don't make a scene in front of his friends over something that can be talked about later. It's humiliating and usually puts him in a really bad spot mood. Tell your man what you really want for sexual pleasure. No holds barred. Drink or smoke weed to lower your anxiety beforehand if need be. But do it. After this has been done and fulfilled, then you can get real about damn near anything. No holding back. I'm late to this one. But, in every relationship there is one person who wants more sex, or some other show of affection love, and one who wants less. Talk it over and meet halfway or you are both in for a really miserable relationship. The one who wants less of any show of affection holds more power. They can live without it, sex, cuddling, kind words, whatever, and the other partner will suffer. This will cause friction and erode the relationship. But it can also be repaired by talking about it and meeting halfway. Be direct and be harsh when self-criticizing. This goes for both anyways. Also don't judge based off height, as height is genetic and you can't change that. However, you shouldn't be offended if someone won't date you since you're 69,420 pounds, not the currency. Unfortunately. Don't get mad at something you set up in your head but never vocalized. Let your expectations be known. Most of the time we will bend over backwards if we know exactly what you want. Say what you mean. Mean what you say. Don't expect anyone to read your mind. Don't automatically go looking deeper at what is said. Most times, guys say what they mean and mean what they say. There isn't a hidden meaning agenda. If you're not in the mood for sex, please just say, honey, I'm just not really in the mood right now. It's okay. I won't get upset. I won't be disappointed. It's totally fair. And I totally get it. I know you still love me and think I'm sexy. Because we have lots of great sex when both of us are in the mood. Just please don't sit there ignoring my advances. Because it makes me feel like I'm not doing a good job. Or something's wrong. Or who knows. It's just a bit of surprise. And please don't try to do it just to make me happy even when you're not enjoying it. Because I can tell. And it doesn't make me happy. Become as independent as possible. Don't be the I have nowhere to go. I have no money, etc. Have your own place. A good job, and when you find someone you like, just visit as much as you like. If something goes wrong, everyone goes home. Don't waste your time on a shitty man. A lot of us have a lot of shitty we haven't even started to deal with. And it seems like a lot of us just want a woman to handle all their problems and save them without giving anything back. Know your worth as a woman and don't let men treat you like shitty. It's okay to be single and you really have no obligation to deal with someone else's issues unless they're actually going to be there for you too. Relationships need to be a two-way street. So keep driving if you see enough one-way signs. Give each other breathing space. You don't need to call or check on your spouse every hour to see where they are. Men don't usually get much attention. Small compliments and gifts go such a long way. Being jealous is normal. But don't let it consume you and let it turn into loss of trust. Don't negate or belittle our feelings. Men have already been told to man up. So when we do speak up, it usually means that whatever is consuming us is significant. Be supportive. If you come at us with an issue, our immediate knee-jerk reaction is to give you a solution. Do not expect us to commiserate with you and writhe in emotional agony alongside you. Most of us are problem solvers and will start trying to find a way to resolve and then prevent said issue. Me personally, I take it a step further and put it out there that I'm not one of her girlfriends, nor am I her emotional beating post. I let her know to come to me when she's ready to have a discussion and not just take an emotional dump in my general direction. But I am a bit of an ass like that.